Okay, people. So Crash Bang Wallop, right? Man, the fights were so crazy, right? The fights were so crazy. We've just got one in the Crash Bang Wallop, right? But this was such a doozy of a fight, right? I am talking about the flyweight clash that headlined the prelims. We had Bruno Gustavo da Silva against Joshua Van. And jeez. Oh, this was such a great fight, right? And at one point, it looked like it was going to a decision. You know what I mean? But boy, like Silva, you know what I mean? He started off with some heavy leg kicks. And at first, you were thinking, like, Van didn't seem to be addressing them, so it's just like, oh shit. Because Van was looking sharp as hell, right? Sharp as a tack, as some people may say. He was doing his thing, his jab. Oh my days. Like, it should be Joshua Utility Van, because this man has so many weapons, right? The way he puts things together, it ain't no joke, right? For sure he's fearless, but man, it's just more than that, because it's not reckless. Joshua Van just puts it together so well, right? And that was the big thing here, because he hurt Silva several times. You feel me? It was like, he put him down with a 1-2-3 combination. And you could see that Silva thought it was going to end with two, because Joshua wasn't really throwing single shots. He was like 1-2s, you know what I mean? But then he put together these longer combinations, and it was the third shot that just seemed to catch Silva out, and he goes down, And he was doing that all night, right? Just slipping shots. There was one point he slipped a big shot from Silva, came with a right, put him down again. You know what I mean? It was just that level of confidence. Now, even though coming into this fight, Silva was coming off a loss, right? And Van was on a 3-fight win streak. This wasn't a given. This wasn't an easy fight. This was not a setup. Because Silva is dangerous. Silva has knockout power. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, Silva's got more experience than Van. So the fact that Van was able to put on a display like he did, jeez, there is something to it for sure. Now, as I said, there's a point you thought it was going to go into, to a decision, because it did go into the third round. Now, before that, right, Silva did take Van down, but Van got straight back up, and Van took Silva down, right, and came with the ground and pound, which was, very impressive. Like, as I said, Van was on point. And in the third round, right, I think Silva's corner was just like, yo, we need to end it. And he came out, right, body kick, trying to hurt Van. Van was with the jab, his movement, his hands were so fucking dirty that night. Because it was, and I mean, they were so crisp. So, he was not missing. It was like he'd slipped an air tag into Silva's head, because, boy, it was like a laser. He was just on point. Pow, 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 pow. You know what I mean? And he hurt Silva. Right? Hurt Silva puts together just pressure and a really just slick combo, and Silver's done. Silver is done. Joshua Van is victorious. And that was, let me just see, that was at 401. Right? 401. He finishes it in the third. It was so impressive. So impressive. And I'm going to say this right now. At some point, Joshua Van is going to challenge for the belt. Joshua Van's going to challenge for the belt. And I can see Joshua Van being a champion. You know? I can definitely see that. Now, I'm not saying he's going to beat Pantoja at this very moment in time. But Joshua Van is a motherfucking problem.